and we won a conference championship and a national championship that first year in League of Legends, which was great. I knew it was a significant importance to be successful within the competition realm of things, because it really kind of sets the tone for what the future looks like. And then we backed that up again with another conference championship and a national championship for League of Legends. We won a conference championship in Rocket League that second year. So continuing on that trend and that development, our team grew from 27 to 53. So the growth was trending. We added Valorant, Overwatch, Apex Legends to start for that second season, and Super Smash Brothers. And then the third year is kind of like when we just catapulted into a different realm. We won multiple conference championships in Rocket League. We won two back-to-back conference championships in Valorant at NA League. We won a national championship and conference championship for Apex Legends. So the competitive growth has just immensely grown. In our program today, we're sitting around like close to 80 students, 85 students within our program. And we're just now hitting, year 4. This is the start of year 4. So like the things that we're doing is just tremendous growth, and we're tremendously successful. So.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how the program has just increased over time, and it's not stopped growing. It's not any stagnation or anything like that so far in the program, just consistent growth, and then all these championship titles. You usually don't see that in the first year with any sport, and in esports especially, how volatile you know it to be. And with all those wins, there's got to be a lot of challenges as well that come along. What are your guys' reactions to these hurdles that you've experienced as a director, and also from that student side as well? What have you experienced?
Yeah, so like some challenges that we've faced is, it comes with growing pains. When you grow that fast, you don't have a strong enough support structure. So, in the first 2 years, it was just myself, and having 50 students, it was a bit overwhelming to have just by yourself. But last year we added some additional staff to help support that tremendous growth, to where we're not really stretched thin, and there's no way that I could operate 80 students and maintain a program.
That's a lot.
We have a big arena, so managing the computers and having maintenance and changing platforms. Getting people equated to all these changes is obviously another element that we have to deal with, just having accountability and making sure that we're focusing on what we're really here for. I mean, we're an institution, we're a college, so we need to focus on our grades. So a lot of these things were some challenges that we faced. While we had success in other areas, like, we had some drawbacks in other areas too, and I hope that we can be able to change some of these challenges into success stories, because that means is that we're trending in every single direction in the right direction, right?
I completely agree. Definitely want to be well-rounded as a program, not just success on the arena or inside the arena, but outside the arena as well. And grades are such a huge factor in that, and I know especially in esports, grade levels are usually not as good, and so it's cool to see that you have consistent players showing up every semester, and not just one semester and then an off semester of season, like resting their grades, if you will. So that's really cool to see that they're doing that here at George Fox. And with all those successes, all those hurdles, you have had the program develop over 4 years now. What are your expectations for this next year, or some hopes for the next year as well?
Yeah, so like this year is a remarkable season. We have the largest recruiting class to date coming into our program, bringing in, I think, 34 or 35 students into this program.
That's a lot.
Amongst some of those students, we have tremendous talent. I'm going to be honest with this, we probably have a top 40 Valorant team in the entire country. And this comes directly from the mouth of the director of esports at Maryville. So,
Nice.
you know, one of the best esports
Yeah.
programs in the entire country is like, yo, your team is pretty stacked this year. Hearing that, it's great to hear. You know, we doubled down and we got a stellar Rocket League team. I may be biased in saying this, but we probably have one of the best Rocket League players coming out of high school this year. He'll be on the show later, and he's really done some great things in the high school level, and we're going to help and aid him into continuing to do those types of things. And that's going to be really exciting to watch some of these new developments that we're in, initiatives that we're currently taking on, to see what we can do to start helping the high school scene, because the high school scene is starting to pop off here in Oregon. And we'll be hosting the first ever high school esports state championship for the state of Oregon, which will be really cool and neat and give these kids a real cool experience. Returning a national championship team from Apex Legends. I say this all the time. It's like I think these three guys were a blessing to find, and they seem to get along really well together. And it's going to be really exciting to see if they can pull it off again this fall, and then again this spring, because then it just shows that these guys are just relentless. They don't need to have any sort of direction or focus. Like, these guys are just dialed in all the time. So yeah, we got 3 really solid teams this year. We have some really cool initiatives. We have a couple of teams that are in a rebuilding year, but we have some great focus, some great leaders within those programs. I think that they're going to help us steer that into that right direction. And it all starts with great leadership. And I want to try to put and instill as much responsibility and leadership with those, because this is just a trait that you're going to have to learn on in life. And I hope that we can really change the direction and the trajectory of those 2 programs and get them onto the same caliber level that we currently have with those other programs. So, yeah, just a lot of exciting stuff. We're just cracking open the first chapter of this book, and man, it's going to be a great book this year, and it's going to be a roller coaster ride, but I can tell you that it's going to be an exciting and fun to watch.
Yeah, and we're excited to get into kind of the player perspective soon here, and kind of get more understanding of some of those generics we talked about, especially with the League of Legends team taking a year off and then coming back on. They have big shoes to fill, because they, you know, went big and got a national championships, and then we took a year off there, so it'll be big shoes to fill. But excited to see what goes on next with them.
Yeah.
But thanks again, Miles, and we'll be right back after a few messages from our sponsors.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hey, sweet new gear. It's like Best Buy hooked you guys up.
Pretty sick, right?
What is that?
That's our traveling trophy. Oh, that's what's up, man.
Ah, a goat for the goats. Fits these pro-level setups.
Last year's trophy.
Not a goat.
Nope.
What if you could get all the latest and greatest gaming gear from one place?
Strength extraordinary.
Welcome back again to the Esports Arena here in George Fox. I'm here with Harlan and Philip. Welcome, guys. And you're from the League of Legends team. You guys took a little one-year sabbatical, if you will, and now you're back. How do you guys feel coming back into this all fresh and rested and ready?
Well, we feel prepared. We've been training and practicing as a team together over the last year. Been playing a lot of games, so hopefully we come in fresh mindset. I know that's a big deal during games. So yeah.
And coming back from a national championship, do you guys feel like you have big shoes to fill, or you guys have kind of fresh ideas knowing that you're bringing in a large class of new recruits?
Well, before I came here, this is my third year here, we had already won one title, and then I had to fill in. And so it's kind of a similar scenario where, yeah, high standards. So, but I think we can do it, and that's what matters. We're definitely on track, on the right pace. So I think we can do that.
Nice. And what would you say, Philip? What would you say about that same question?
I would say we can just do our best, and that even if they won, I'm not too worried about how we do. Because, just got to focus on getting good grades, I guess.
That is a good thing, and I know Miles is making sure that you guys stay up to date on those grades. And thank you guys again for those responses. Again, re-noting that you guys have the highest recruit class across all games. Is that like building a new dynamic? Is there a certain leader that's kind of taking, the rings, if you will, and trying to lead the charge? And who's that person, if anything? And then also, what are kind of your guys' ideas behind starting out kind of completely fresh?
Well, if there's someone taking the reins, I'd say it's Sam, because part of it's because he's always in the arena. So he's kind of taking the reins for not just our team, but for a lot of people that are coming in new. But we're lucky that he's on our team, because then he gets to do that job, which is very nice to have. So.
Yeah, Sam's really, really great. So it's good that you guys have him in your corner for league, and
he is, yeah.
He's a good guy. Yeah, charisma, all of it. He's got it all. So, well, and again, that being said, and considering I'm not super familiar with the league, but I just know the community and all the different aspects that the game can kind of take hold. There's, I talk about layers of an onion when it comes to certain games for people to understand it. League has a lot of layers of that onion, and so how would you guys anticipate, with meta shifting dramatically all the time, Riot Games super involved in the scene, and new, champs coming out all the time? How do you guys anticipate those changes, and have you guys been flexible so far with your champion pool and whatnot?
Well, usually you have some extra time with the patches to figure out how the meta works. So it's mostly just adaptation and knowing the role and not the champion for the most part. As long as you know what you're supposed to do, not necessarily how you do it matters as much. It's as long as you get your job done, and it doesn't matter what champion you play. As long as you play as a team, it'll work out.
I completely agree, and especially knowing your role is such a huge, important part across all games, just with Valorant and Overwatch as well. And so it's really cool to see that. And thank you guys again for sharing your insight about League of Legends. Really appreciate it. And we'll be right back again with some messages from our partners.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hey, sweet new gear. It's like Best Buy hooked you guys up.
Pretty sick, right?
What is that?
That's our traveling trophy. Oh, that's what's up, man.
Ah, a goat for the goats. Fits these pro level setups.
Last year's trophy.
Not a goat.
Nope.
What if you could get all the latest and greatest gaming gear from one place?
Strength extraordinary. Red Bull gives you wings.
Back again to the Esports Arena here at George Fox. I'm here with the Rocket League team, one of the most winning teams here at George Fox. Conference championship after conference championship. Doesn't matter if it's ECAC or NACE, you guys do it all. How are you guys doing so far this year?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm elated to be here.
Doing great. Nervous for college.
Yeah, nervous for college. Thanks again, Caleb and Connor, for being here. And I know, Caleb, you're a returning Rocket League player, one of the veterans here, been here since day one.
I'm old.
He's old, he says. How are you feeling about the new recruits here? And how are you feeling about kind of reestablishing a team? I know you've done it before, because your first year, I think you had 2 seniors on the team or something like that, and then you had to rebuild a team. You're obviously consistently ready to do that. How does this year feel different or the same?
Yeah, so in the past, I've never really had a consistent team. I've never had a consistent teammate. Every team that I've had has always changed. And this year, I'm really excited to have Connor and Hawk on our team. Those are our 2 new recruits. Connor is cracked, and Hawk will also be cracked. We just all have to get a little unwashed first.
Yeah.
Once we start playing the game a little bit more, we'll be a lot better. But I'm feeling very confident this year on how our team's going to perform, and I'm very excited to see what happens.
Yeah, no, I'm also excited. I've heard from yesterday that Hawk is fairly high rank in comparison to previous recruits. Is that true? And how do you feel about somebody coming on to the stage that might have, potentially a little bit more confidence, if you will, on the team?
Yeah, he's not as high as Connor, but he's still really good.
Okay, so Connor is
Very
Yeah.
good, very capable. I mean, I'm excited for this year. And even Miles told me that I'm not sure how good the recruiting's going to be for your first year, but trust me, I'm going to build you a good team. And Miles did it in less than 1 year, a couple months. So very grateful for the recruiting at George Fox.
Yeah, really good recruiting. And again, thank you for rebuilding the team day in and day out, being here and being willing to adapt to that. That's really, really helpful. And again, with those national titles that I mentioned prior, it's not necessarily big shoes for you to fill because you were in those shoes all along, but how does it feel for you kind of coming into those national championships in those leagues?
I mean, it's funny. I was even thinking about saying that, it was kind of similar to high school. I put a lot of pressure on myself in high school, and now George Fox is just the pressure's already there. But to me, I really like a pretty ring. So there's definitely lots of pressure to get another pretty ring and add it to my collection.
Add it to the collection. That's good. And I know Miles, he's going to be running out of hands here fairly soon with all of you guys combined. Rocket League and other teams as well being involved in those championships. So again, with all those big shoes being filled, and then again, how does your high school esports experience kind of relate to college? And again, like you mentioned, you have that pressure. There's added pressure with the college level, but how do you feel with this kind of transition point?
It's more of an ecosystem already built into, or in high school you have to build one because at some point by the time you're a junior, senior, you have to take a leadership role. And I was even making jokes like, with Hawk, the other guy, because he's a year older than me, it's like, I don't care that you're also year 1. Like, you're going to be team captain next year. It's really nice to have someone to take on that burden and to take on that leadership responsibility. And overall, the professionalism in college is so much nicer. Having to pay for all your gear in high school to getting a lot of it for free in college. And also getting blessed to have, I don't know how many square foot arena, but definitely the biggest one in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fairly big arena here. It's spacious.
Bigger than my dorm room.
I would hope so. And with all those statements being said, and with your kind of transition from high school to college, all those things being a lot added to the plate, it's hard. But my question for you guys is, Rocket League, on a baseline, a lot of people think it's simplistic, but I feel like you guys put more hours into it, like a practice range situation, than most. Not a lot of people know that. How does that kind of expectation increase, or how does the weight of leadership role, I know you've been in that leadership role as well, how does that weight kind of limit your potential as well. So like for you, the question being, how many hours do you feel like you have to add now outside of the arena? And then for you, the other question is going to be, how does that leadership role hinder you? Because I know that IGL role or that shot call role can be almost a hindrance to your own gameplay.
I mean, it's just doing the training I've always done, just now with an ecosystem and a set schedule. You know, a lot of my training was just based on feel, and esports being so new, if you're an individual, your training is not structured at all. It's almost all by feel. You know, it's like, oh, I should probably do a bit of this today. You know, I should run this drill by myself. A little bit of some of it created by high school, but almost all of it is done by yourself. And now I have a schedule, you know, that's very, very fine and set, and that I'm going to kind of have an idea what I'm going to do months in advance. And that's very new to me, from when I would not even know what I was going to do 12 hours before I was going to go pick up the controller.
Yeah, that's really good. And again, the coaching staff also having a available coach, and I know that our coaching staff here at George Fox is fairly strong in comparison to a high school level. And then now your question, being in the leadership role, I know from my experience being in IGL back in my, way back in my days, I'm older than dirt apparently nowadays, UNC status, but
Aren't we the same age?
something like that. How does that leadership role hinder your, highlight moments? As I've seen, being a caster, it hasn't limited you very often, but how can it potentially limit you?
I have to set an example. I can't tell my team to do something without first doing it myself, and that starts with school. So I have to be on top of everything. I can't slack off like I used to when I was a freshman, where I would just be okay kind of missing some assignments. I have to be on top of everything, because if I want my team to be on top of everything, I have to be on top of everything. And my workload is going to be a lot more than Connor and Hawks. And that's just because I'm graduating this year. Mm-hmm. And so it's my job to make sure that everything is done the first day it's assigned to me. And that limits my ability to practice when I want to. It also limits me because I just have to be a team player. The bottom line is just I have to be about as humble as possible. Connor and Hawk are a lot better than me, and I have to be humble enough to accept that. But I also have to be strong enough to lead them and, in a way, tell them how to think. So if they're feeling down about a day, or if they're feeling like the other team's better than us, their rank is higher, et cetera, I have to be the one to tell them, like, no, shut up. You're wrong. Like, we're better. Even if the stats say that we're worse, we're still better. And you have to believe that. Yeah. Otherwise, we're not going to win. I
agree. And again, with that LAN experience that you have, just being in person in the arena a lot of hours, that also is a high advantage in comparison to players coming in new. Even if they're higher ranked, even if they're more skilled on paper, I know that experience when the pressure hits the fan, that you need somebody to be able to cheer for them and say that, no, you're better, and I like that example that you noted. So I really appreciate that. My question for you is, now with this new season, you've had high expectations and high goals achieved. Now you even have even higher expectations. What would be one goal that you could say for this season for your Rocket League team?
CRL.
CRL.
That's bottom line. Like, I don't care how many championships we win. I don't care how many finals we get to. I don't care if we're the worst team in the CRL. That's what I want us to get to, because when I leave this school, I want to leave it knowing that our teams will always be in the CRL.
I completely agree.
And so if we don't make it this semester, I want us to make it the spring semester. And then I want to leave Connor and Hawk in charge of the CRL team. Mm-hmm.
And for those that don't know, CRL is the highest, most prestigious league in all of college esports for Rocket League specific, and it's been dramatically increasing the echelon that they have in Rocket League overall. And so to have your team in there, even if it's last place, it's like Premier League for European soccer, and so, or European football. But it's just one of those things that, like, if you're in the league, even if you're whatever team, you mean something. So I'm really excited to see if you guys get into CRL. That'd be really, really cool. So
I think it'd be
cool,
too.
Thank you guys again for all of your words and advice. Any last messages for your fans as you've developed them over the years, or any last thoughts for Mom?
Connor, any words to your fans?
Love you, Mom. That's my fan.
You got more than that.
No, I don't.
You will.
No, I don't.
You will.
No, I don't.
I'll be holding a sign saying Blukey, go Blukey.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you guys for everyone at home. We will be right back again with some more messages.
Hey, sweet new gear. It's like Best Buy hooked you guys up.
Pretty sick, right?
What is that?
That's our traveling trophy. Oh, that's what's up, man.
Ah, a goat for the goats. Fits these pro level setups.
Last year's trophy.
Not a goat.
Nope.
What if you could get all the latest and greatest gaming gear from one place?
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hey, sweet new gear. It's like Best Buy hooked you guys up.
Pretty sick, right?
What is that?
That's our traveling trophy. That's what's up, man.
Ah, a goat for the goats. Fits these pro-level setups.
Last year's trophy.
Not a goat.
Nope.
What if you could get all the latest and greatest gaming gear from one place?
Welcome back again, and we're still in the esports arena here at George Fox. We haven't changed location. I'm here with the Overwatch team and the two only returner players for the Overwatch team. Thank you guys for being here, sticking through the thick and the thin of the Overwatch program here at George Fox. And I want to ask you guys, how are you feeling? Just how are you feeling in general so far?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited, Chase. This coming season is going to be great. We got a really good looking set of recruits. You know, everyone's kind of positive. We're staying real emphasizing that good positivity, because anybody that plays Overwatch knows Overwatch is not known for their positive community. You know, we're not exactly the poster boys for good communication. But this semester, this season is our focus. Our big focus is communication. We want to stay positive. We want to look towards only the good things. You know, how can we be better? What can we do that can make our experiences better? What makes the game more fun? And I think that's been our biggest issue, is since we really weren't focused on having a good time and playing as a team, we had such a difficult time competing because no one was having fun. Mm-hmm. And you can't enjoy a game as hard and difficult as Overwatch if you're not having fun. Because power to all the other games, Overwatch is a really hard game. That's a difficult game.
It's difficult, let alone in the 5v5. Now that it is, it's been a little bit simplified. Isn't even a word to describe it, because it's still chaos. Nonetheless, especially with cooldowns versus other games that have abilities of one-time use. You're having to count all the time, always in math class. But my question for you is that there's been talks. The lid has been opened. It's been pried open. The door has been widened back from 5v5 conversation to potentially back to 6v6. And so what is your guys' adaptation or interest? Is that like a smile from ear to ear, Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland? Or is that we just fixed the rank system and 5v5 is the new way?
That door needs to swing wide open and stay open. 5v5 is the worst thing that's ever happened in this game. That is a controversial topic and maybe not an agreed upon opinion, but I personally believe that 5v5 was easily the worst thing that's ever happened in this game. I think it was Blizzard's desperate attempt of having a new game. Overwatch 2, one less player. And we all know how it went. How it turned out was tank duos split up, teams had to completely readjust all their play styles. Everything had to be revamped. Characters had to get more damage points. Characters had to get more hit points. They had to adjust cooldown rates, all this, just because they wanted a new game. And now we have this new game, and nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. Nobody is, occasional people. Some people say maybe it's a little bit better. But the majority of people coming from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2, it's not nearly as much fun because the tank player is so heavily relied upon. Before, you had off tank and you had main tank. Main tank was able to focus on keeping the team alive, keep on getting that brawl aspect in. If you're playing dive, they were the real big initiator. And you had an off tank. Off tank could peel for supports, peel for damage. Off tank could be really good for picking out little targets right on the left, back. Now you just have main tank, and the main tank's job is to do all of that. And nobody likes doing everything. When you have a role that has to do every single aspect of a game, it is not fun because everybody relies on you so heavily.
And the number one embracer of 5v5 we have on the panel here. And so my question for you is, do you want to keep that door shut, or are you open to the slight pry of it being open to your... Go ahead.
I mean, personally, I really enjoyed 5v5. As a tank player, I feel like I'm in the center of everything. I like being in the spotlight. So just being able to have that power and all that health pool I had, so I could just bush in and just kill, but also have that health pool back me up, and also maybe get a life lever to pull me back if I get a little too crazy, That was really fun. But, as a team sense, I think we would be prepared to do whatever happens. If it's 5v5, I feel like we are more than welcome, or more than ready to get into that groove as we always have. But if it's 66, I know our coach is very prepared of how to coach that kind of scenario, and he'll help us proceed and get through all of that with what we need to do. And I know that we have a team that's ready to do whatever that we need to do, obviously. So we're going to be really excited to see what's the meta going to be changing like, and really excited to see what's going to happen.
And my next question for you guys, you also have a fair good amount of recruits that are joining your roster. One of them being one of the higher players that you guys have kind of taken in straight up as a freshman. How do they kind of coordinate with the team, and then also other players joining the roster that might not be as prepared for the collegiate level?
Yeah, so we have a pretty broad spectrum of ranked players, to say the least. We have as low as peak gold, current silver, and we have peak masters, current masters. So we have a little bit of an awkward range to go with, but a lot of our players are really interested in learning. Most of them are really, really looking forward to having a good time, and having a good time means you can get better. Mm-hmm. Having freshmen that are very skilled, such as our incoming player, Ian Devine, very good tank player. He's really good at communicating. He's really good at calling shots. He's really good at filling in that sole tank player role, but he's also going to be great for our 6v6 gameplay. We have newer players who barely know what positioning is, and it's going to be a joy to teach them and to see them grow, especially for the both of us, because although we are the only returners, we are also, this is only our second year of esports. So we had our first semester, which was tough, and we had our times, but now we have our beautiful new coming season where we can see all of our new players grow, go from gold to plat is our goal. We'll hit plat by the end of the season.
Yeah.
And we can have a great season and a great team. And that's our big goal, is making sure that they can not only have fun, but grow and be better in the game, because if you're not having fun, you can't grow.
Mm-hmm. And I had one of those opportunities that I personally, as a player, came in to play Fortnite back in the day. And then I was told no Fortnite team when I first got introduced to the team that I was on back in the day. And then they said, oh, you play Apex too? That'll be in a year from now as well. And so they gave me a keyboard and a mouse. Never touched those before. I was controller man. And then I was introduced to the whole esports scene, and Overwatch was my first game. Placed gold and did Masters that season. So
and that's what we're looking for.
And that's what we can do, because we have the facilities here at George Fox with all these PCs, and the internet here is better than your average Wi-Fi. And so for that reasoning, you can excel these players just based off of equipment itself sometimes, and then also coaching staff that George Fox has to provide. So it is definitely a possibility. I wouldn't shoot for plat. You can get him diamond, man.
Hey,
especially with Overwatch 2, you never know.
With the gear we got here and the treasure box that we have, that is our facilities. We do have quite the bit of equipment. We do have some pretty quick Wi-Fi. We got all the good gear, the PCs. That does make a huge difference. Like, it really does. Playing on console and playing on PC are just majorly different experiences. I mean, some people say, oh, well, I can't tell much past 60 FPS. You're lying. Past 60 FPS, it's a whole new ball game. Yeah. You become so much more responsive. You have so much more time to react to these things. And some of these players really haven't had that experience, and just having that change in hardware can make the vast majority of a difference. Can shoot you from gold to diamond, because you're thinking, oh, well, now I have all this time to react. With the individual frames that you have and the refresh rates on the monitors, you get so much extra time. Those seconds are precious seconds. Mm-hmm. And you don't really realize it until you go from 60 of those precious milliseconds to 240 of them. Yeah. Everything changes. And for a lot of our players, it's going to be that way. Not all of them have the nicest hardware, the nicest gear, and some of them are new into FPS in the first place. Mm-hmm. So going from that to this is going to be a huge difference. And it's really encouraging. It really is encouraging for our players, especially because a lot of them were kind of nervous, coming into a competitive scene. Mm-hmm. When you don't play a game competitively and you really only play it for casuals, it's scary. I mean, going in and saying, oh, well, we're going to be playing tournaments. We're going to be playing against other teams. Well, how much experience do these teams have? A decent amount of experience. I have no experience. This is scary. It's okay. It's going to be okay. We have great hardware. We have great teams. We have great people surrounding us. We all have positive attitudes. Our coach, Echo, great guy. Always positive. We're going to have a great time. Oh, really funny. He's hilarious. And that's what's also going to be good, is all of us can be really lighthearted and fun and still have a good time. Especially with our schedule this semester, Last year, we had a pretty hefty schedule, keeping on almost 5-6 days a week of practice.
That's a lot.
I mean, you talk to other athletes and you say, oh, well, we practice 5-6 days a week. And they look at you like you're crazy. You practice 5-6 days a week, you're insane. There's no chance. And it gets taxing. For some players, it really gets exhausting. And this semester, we're keeping it down to a solid 4 days. With the 4 days, we can really focus on what we can learn from those 4 days rather than just playing and playing and playing and playing. Because playing all day or all week, every single day, you can't improve. It makes it so difficult to improve from that because you have no time to think about it, no time to rest. I mean, we have to play the game with our practice sessions in the same way that you build muscle, because you can't just destroy your muscle because there's nothing to grow. If you blow down your house and if you're trying to replace a wall and your house gets blown away, now you have to completely rebuild your house. 4 days a week is great for us to practice, great for us to maintain, and it's going to be great for our players because you can still enjoy the game. You can still have a good time, especially if you're new, because you don't have to think, oh, well, I have to go from playing sometimes to every day except for Sunday. No. Tuesday to Friday, good tournament practice, good in-game practice, and we get plenty of time for VOD reviews. That's what's also great about our facilities here, with the Wi-Fi, with our cameras, with our microphones, with our good gear, and our beautiful Red Bull to keep us going. we get to really use those tools to improve our gameplay. We can have better VOD reviews because we can have in-person conversations as if we're here. As if our coach is here, we can actually talk face-to-face. And we have the PC with the Wi-Fi, we don't have to worry about disconnecting in tournaments, disconnecting during conversations. We don't have to worry about these things. All we have to worry about, how much fun we're having, if we're improving, and what we can do better in general as a team. And that's all it is. It's staying positive, making sure you're having fun, and being a fun, good team. That's all you need.
I agree. And the one thing also, for me as a player and for a lot of players I've noticed over the years of my esports experience, is that intentional time is way more important. Because there's, as much as you're playing competitive, no matter what rank you are, there's the casual ranks and then there's the competitive ranks.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want you to note also, what does intentional time mean to you? Because again, 4 days a week, but it's not all just, oh, we're going to 5-stack and rank today. Nice. Who cares?
Yeah.
We are doing that intentional VOD review time. We're doing that intentional coaching time. And individual coaching, especially when you're a lower ranked player, is needed because it's very easy when you go start queuing ranked again and when you're doing solo work. If you don't have somebody reminding you of those bad habits that you did when you're gold, you're going to stay gold forever. No matter how much individual coaching you have, you don't have somebody in your ear saying, you just made that bad decision again.
Yeah.
Let's fix that.
I mean, it's like studying. It is. It really is similar to studying because with the hours, we have to dedicate periods of time to entirely what we would play in tournaments. So everything needs to be played as a group. We have to have someone calling shots, someone watching flank, someone engaging when we're going to have our fights, and someone tracking ultimates, ability cooldowns, all those things. And playing into the in-games ranked, so competitive, it really is different because it doesn't feel like a tournament. The other team isn't playing as a tournament. Someone's off doing this weird thing you didn't expect. Someone's off doing this weird thing you didn't expect.
One-trick Sombras, man.
Well, yeah, why is there a Sombra in our back line while we're all grouped together? Okay, peel and kill her. Perfect.
Yeah,
great opportunities. But dedicating good time to keeping the experience of tournaments is really, really important, but also allowing yourself to focusing on improving and then going into competitive to put those in action. Because we can't put them in action every week. We can't have tournament practice every single day. We have to play some competitive. But playing into that as a team, we can play together and focus on what we can do better. So maybe Vince and I are working on positioning. Maybe my positioning is bad. I really got some bad positioning. I'm getting caught out every fight. And I say, hey, we're gonna sit down in 5-stack. I really, really need you to focus on this.
Yeah.
Like if we lose, if we win, whatever, I need you to tell me when my positioning is terrible. And we can be honest. As a team, we can be honest with each other and we can work together and make ourselves better. And having a coach makes that even better because our coach can watch through Discord. Our coach can watch through just streaming or whatever. And it allows us to put that in practice. So the competitive scene in the actual in-games competitive is just really, really great for putting the things you've practiced into play. It's not even close to the same as tournaments. They're basically completely different games.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a practice range. So as much as we put an importance on staying a higher rank and competitive, it really does matter is how you can implement the things that we're teaching you and how you can implement the things that are better. Because there are some teams that have people that aren't grandmaster because they never play competitive. But those teams work amazing together because instead of focusing on winning and getting angry that you're losing, they say, oh, I did this really, really well and this really, really poorly.
Yeah.
So competitive becomes more, like I said, a practice range. And we just have to focus on a team as what we need, what times we need to allot for those. So which days we want to focus on each individual person and each individual person getting certain coaching and how we need to work together as a team on the other days. Because it's all scheduling. Everything is just when are you going to dedicate the time in your mind.
And then all the onion layers will come together at the end. And my question for you, Vincent, is how has this, as he's mentioned before, Grant has mentioned that the individualized day, focusing on not multiple things, but individualized things, how has that affected you through coaching? And then also, are you excited for that, for new players to experience that again? Because you're also a new player yourself, so you had that happen, or coaching is new probably to you. So, how is that? Are you excited for those players to experience that? One day working on cooldown management, because I know a lot of tank players just press everything the second they get hit with anything. I mean, you know it, I know it. We all did that at first. And then positioning. Ooh, there's a shiny Mega over there. My Ana has Nano. I'm just going to go for the Mega. The Mega's guaranteed, So how has that been your experience as a player as well?
Well, coming in my first semester at George Fox for esports, it was kind of a rude awakening because the sense of competitive, you're just playing comp normally, to where you're doing a scrimmage sense, those were entirely different. Just from the communication that comes in with the scrim sense, and then your own individual ideas from competitive. And maybe me just being a Reinhardt charging into the backline all the time. That might have happened a couple times.
Guilty.
There we go. But just that feeling of getting in the scrimming sense, I personally fell in love with it. I loved the communication that was involved with it, and I just loved learning. And just getting into just more learning and showing that I want to learn. Because I was one of the 2 people that was new coming onto the team last semester, just having to find my footing and find where I kind of belong in this team. Eventually getting onto the point where I was starting as a tank. That was really important to me, just showing that I can do this. As one of my coaches said, I got that dog in me, which was really inspiring personally. Yeah. Thanks, Bagel. But just from there going on, having these new people come in, getting this scrimmage sense, I will hope that they can fall in love with that too, and then get trained up and just show that they have passion for getting better. And another great thing is I feel like we may have 2 teams. We may have 2 teams since we have a bunch of new people coming in. We're going to have 10 players, I'm pretty sure, coming in. So maybe splitting those teams off so each person gets a perfect good amount of play time so that they can individually hone their skills instead of having one scrim and then switching people off at time. Just having that maximum growth will be really helpful for the team, I feel, especially for how much rank disparity we do have, unfortunately. Yeah. But again, I'm really looking forward because after I've been talking with a bunch of them over the summer, all of them seem really interested in getting better and also have really great personalities. I'm really looking to get them both, know them better as a team and also as friends.
I know there's also other players interested in joining the Overwatch team from other teams as well. I've talked with Zombie being one of the players that he's been learning Overwatch on the side, and he said that he's really interested in learning, and so I'm excited to see how other players might be able to willing to kind of come into a JV roster even and learn from that, because I know he's a grinder when it comes to games at least, and that is a true statement. You can't put that one down. But anyways, thanks again for joining us, Overwatch team. I know there's a lot of potential growth, and we'll be right back after these messages from our partners. Thank you.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hey, sweet new gear.
Welcome back to the Esports Arena here in Newburgh, Oregon. Sorry, I'm here with the Valorant roster and got some of the best players on the team here, hands down. We got Ricky and Jorge. How's it been off-season wise to current season wise, and how are you feeling so far?
It's been good. You know, just kind of getting used to playing again. We picked up 2 new players, so we've been this offseason, we've just been trying to get them used to playing again, playing as a team. And main thing is just making sure that we're all like one cohesive team.
Yeah. And I definitely notice over time, if you're off season playing a lot of competitive versus regular season, there's a lot of role swapping that usually occurs. And especially in ranked, knowing that you guys are all team players and never insta-lock ever in your life, that you're filling a lot. And so therefore, when it comes to season time, forcing yourself onto one role can kind of be limiting, or map-based. You're like, oh, I always play Omen on this map, I always play Sova on this map, but now I have to play Sova, Breach, Initiator now.
Yeah.
How does that kind of transfer affect the team, and have you seen that affect the teams thus far?
I think everyone's really open to trying new things. And I don't think anyone minds playing different roles and trying it out. We try to practice it during scrims and stuff too. And if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out, and we just try to switch back and forth, see what works.
Yeah, and to add on to that, we've constantly over this whole summer, we've just been trying different comps, people in different roles, just seeing what works and what doesn't. And it seems like what we're coming all along now is kind of what it's going to be, what we're going to be playing during the season, and kind of like our final plan.
Yeah.
And I know we were mentioning prior to the interview that we were watching some VCT, and I know there's a lot of compositions that are, good for VCT because it's heavily scrimmed. Is there anything you've noticed in VCT or Valorant Champions Pro League, for those that don't know, that you're trying to incorporate in your compositions? Or are there certain ones that are like, oh, Heretics Bind is super, super strong. Do we try to replicate their comp, or do we have our own flavor to it, and we kind of just settle for what's best for our team? What has been your guys' trend so far for that?
For the biggest part, we have tried the meta comps in the past, which are obviously the comps that are done in using the Pro League, and we haven't been able to perform with it, as we don't really understand why each agent is played in the way that it's played, so we're often misusing them. So this semester, we really just want to focus on our own strengths. We're trying to stray away from the meta just play what we want to play. And if there's a comp that we see that we like see that we can fit into, like for example the Haven comp, most recently now it's been Neon, Breach, Sova, Omen Breach, or Omen Cypher.
Yeah.
We're thinking about just running that and running Jet instead of Neon. That way we're all like fitting into our own strengths.
Yeah, I know Neon and Jet, although they are consistently played by the same player in Pro League, they are dramatically different agents.
Yeah.
And so it's very interesting to see that, somebody like Kang can just dominate on goal.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck is happening with that guy? And the next question I'm following up with is, that makes sense. I've seen the similar trend for a lot of teams in Collegiate, unless you're like Maryville. Those guys are just meta fiends, those guys. How has been leadership roles shifted over the course of adding new players? Has there been a consistent leader among the crew that's been stepping up in the IGL role, and for those in-game lead? And then again, the meta is word that we throw around a lot in esports. It's basically just describing what's the most likely played, agent pool and characters in the game that is best suited for that map or that, defender-sided start or whatever it may be for the game. So meta is being that ideal comp versus what's practical. And so, and then going off that question again, who's kind of the leader? Who's stepping up to the plate here for George Fox?
I mean, new player James, AKC.
New player James, AKC.
Yeah.
And he's had some leadership experience with the Academy squad, is that correct?
Yeah.
And so he's going to be stepping up to plate this time with a little bit more weapons at his disposal per se, with at least the increase in ranked and the increase in, high-level play that comes from being, post-Radiant or current Radiant on your guys' roster and whatnot. What's your kind of goal for this next season, knowing that you guys are coming with at least a few returners and then one player that's stepping up to plate, and so they're not any new faces to George Fox other than the two that are being added? What's your goals for this season?
My goal, I just want to gain more experience as a team since we got two new players. Because I remember like when I came in, it was kind of hard to adjust at first, and then when I did get adjusted, I was like going kind of crazy, But yeah.
I noticed, yeah.
And then, I think James and CJ will be like really good when we play. Yeah.
And again, with all that experience, and again, I still in my head replays that Marshall clip every single time. Like literally, when I see your face, I'm like, what is happening? Because that Marshall clip, bro, insane. I was like, this guy's the next level. It was insane, bro. And as you've kind of mentioned your goals and hopes and dreams for this next year, what have been some challenges in the past, or now some challenges, knowing that you have, again, new players starting the roster? Is that a new challenge that you're excited for, or you're a little bit nervous for, based on role swaps you might have to do? What's kind of your thoughts on that?
I personally think that challenges are obviously something that no matter what, you're going to have to face. So I think the best way to go through everything is just to take it one step at a time and see if we even need to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're hoping for no challenges this year, hoping that everyone fits into their roles, doesn't get burnt out, but obviously things happen, things change over time, but once we get to that point, I think we will address it then. We'll talk to our coach, see what the issue is, and go along from there.
And one thing I've noticed, especially with Valorant, is if you're consistently role swapping, I feel like your initial responses of like how to use utility and proper timings in situations we saw with VCT even last night, like Aftershock, we could have planted that spike, like, that moment if you mentioned on Haven. It's like you could have still got the plant down. You would have died, but, the nerves can kind of get to you sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're on the right role, you kind of have those immediate reactions. I'm locked in. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do on this team. So with that being said, are you guys going to be consistently involved in like, if you're playing ranked, still play this role because it's very helpful for your overall growth? Or what is your guys' thoughts on that?
I think that helps, but I'm not very sure if that like does a lot. I've been doing that actually, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it because I like filling in ranked because playing a specific role just lets me like makes me like just feel like I need to do certain things.
Mhm.
When I'm on field, I can like I have a free mind. I'm not like lost. I lock in and do whatever I want.
I like that perspective a lot. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think ranked play and competitive play is very different.
I agree.
I think the whole just the whole thing in itself is super different from what we are used to playing now. So it just I think it just depends. You only learn the basics of the agent. You only learn their abilities, the timings, but you only learn it up to a certain extent. You don't really learn how to talk to your team and be like, hey, I'm flashing this. Hey, I'm stunning.
Communication's key for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I definitely agree. I asked that question, but I believe differently personally. I think flexibility is a huge thing, so you need to know how your role fits into the team. And so
Yeah.
when you have that duo synergy of a breach and a jet, for instance, you want to make sure that you're flashing the right flash. You can't just be throwing blinds like your Zealous on Sentinels. You have to be intentional with those things. Don't just throw a utility for fun. So I definitely agree with that. And so that question is well answered. And you guys have been in a lot of high-pressure situations. You've been in a higher league in Valorant than the Academy squad. You're in usually a higher league, and so you're on par with higher competition. You're playing against D1 schools with a lot more funding, a lot more scholarship backing, and so that can be a hindrance sometimes. How do you guys feel with this pressure added? How do you guys kind of adapt to that? And do you feel the pressure at all, or are you guys just cracked gamers, How do you guys feel the pressure?
I don't think I feel the pressure. Do you?
Personally, I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
I just load the
feels
game up.
nothing.
I just load the game up.
Yeah.
The only moments where I'm ever thinking about anything and I actually feel a little bit of uneasy is whenever I'm in any clutch situation. I just take a moment because Valorant it's a really slow game at the end of the day because we don't feel it, but we get so much time.
Yeah.
So I usually just take that little time, take a deep breath. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. This is my plan, and I just go along with it. If it works, it works. If not, then I messed up somewhere.
Yeah, and I feel like you can let the adrenaline fuel you too. Because I'll be in my own ranked games or back when I played, ancient history Go. Those moments, I dream for those moments competing where the heartbeat is pumping and you're just that much more focused on the game, and so it's really fun to be a part of that. And like you mentioned, it's a slow-paced game, but there's those bursts of what just happened.
Yeah.
And so how do you guys kind of deal with those moments? I know it's consistent in Valorant enough that you should be used to by now, but how do you guys deal with the fact that it's such a slow-paced game and then, Neon's already in our spawn somehow? How do you guys kind of deal with that as it goes? Just communication or what?
Yeah, it's the biggest thing, communication. We try to just talk. We're trying to just talk the whole time, make sure that everyone knows what's going on. Especially on defense, we're trying to be a lot more proactive now. Main issue is that we were just kind of sitting ducks. So by us being proactive, we're kind of countering that Neon being in our spawn, she's no longer going to be there because we're going to be in their spawn. So
Yeah.
We're kind of just changing. We're kind of just changing a lot of how we are used to playing.
I completely agree, and especially if you're at a higher level of play, and I know your ranks have increased over time, and you're at least consistent play. Again, competitive versus collegiate level is completely different, and so with that play being more consistent, you have kind of more reps in, you're more confident in that level, and then that way you can play proactive. Because proactive versus reactionary is way better, and so I completely agree with that. And now you can bottleneck them instead of being fully pincered or fully surrounded, and then you have to make these hero plays, which nobody wants to do unless you're Kong. And so I'm glad that you guys kind of shared that insight. Any more expectations for the team? Any excitements other than those excitements you've mentioned prior? Anything else that you guys are wow, I am super excited for this?
I'm excited to start the season again.
Yeah.
We got some new players. He's really fun to play with. He talks a lot. He talks a lot in a good way. Same thing with James. He's also really fun to play with. So kind of just being excited about playing, especially with James. He was my old teammate, so kind of excited to play with him again.
I know you guys have built that synergy before. I've seen you guys stacking all the time together back in the day, and so building that duo synergy is always really helpful outside of the in competitive scene, just like letting you guys do your thing, and then back in,
Yeah.
you know.
This year I should try to like build a lot of synergy with like a lot of my teammates. Like Ricky and I, we used to queue a lot at the beginning of the act until he passed me. Recently, he dropped me. Recently, I've been playing with Mason, Coach Luca, and then I also like to play James and with CJ as well. So I kind of just like building, knowing how they want to play, knowing like the type of plays they want to make. That
There's
way
a lot of consistency because there's like certain angles that I know that you're like, oh, I absolutely destroy on this angle.
Yeah.
This is my angle, you know? And so I really appreciate that you guys are building those consistencies. And although it could be read by some teams, you're like, I don't care who's fighting me, we're winning. And so thank you guys again for that insight for the Valorant team. And we will be right back again with some more messages from our partners.
Hey, sweet new gear. It's like Best Buy hooked you guys up.
Pretty sick, right?
What is that?
That's our traveling trophy. Oh, that's what's up, man.
Ah, a goat for the goats. Fits these pro-level setups.
Last year's trophy.
Not a goat.
Nope.
What if you could get all the latest and greatest gaming gear from one place?
Aren't you forgetting something?
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hey, sweet new gear. It's like Best Buy hooked you guys up.
Pretty sick, right?
What is that?
That's our traveling trophy. Oh, that's what's up, man.
Ah, a goat for the goats. Fits these pro-level setups.
Last year's trophy.
Not a goat.
Nope.
What if you could get all the latest and greatest gaming gear from one place?
Back to Newberg, Oregon. We're here with the Apex team, and you guys have been taking some national championships just like popcorn, just picking them right out of the bucket. How are you guys feeling with this next season starting? And again, welcome back to Newberg.
Feeling pretty good. Same team as, I guess, the first semester. Got Brandon, our controller player, and then we're both mouse and key. But yeah, very excited. I think we're going to do well.
Yeah, definitely having hybrid, at least about 2, 3, 4 months ago was really, really good. And has that still been a consistent thing, that having a controller player is really, really beneficial to the team?
Yeah, that's something I don't think will ever change in the meta. Controller is so strong in that close range that Brandon just being there to one clip everyone that gets within 10 meters of us is beautiful.
It's a beautiful experience to be seen, and you guys all have to tune into those streams. And so another question for you guys, being national champions, for how you guys performed against a variety of teams that have infinite money at their disposal, and you guys still slayed those beasts and birds and those dragons. How do you guys feel about this next season? Is that more expectations, more pressure, or is that like, oh, there was pressure that time? Like we were just feeling it out and we were just the goats? What's happening here, speaking of goat? But how's it been going for you guys?
I'm personally not that worried about it. I wasn't that stressed last year because it wasn't that. we did really well, and we all get along really well, so we don't have too much pressure on each other. So I'm not worried. I don't know about you guys.
No, we're a pretty fun team. We crack a lot of jokes at practice, and our coach is hysterical as well.
Yeah,
so I think that definitely adds. Like, we're just having fun playing video games together and just winning.
I also want to mention that although we've had 2 members of each team, those were all 5 total people on their rosters, and with Apex it's 3. How does that change the simplicity of it, or is it more complicated because there's more pressure on each individual player to perform, or how does it feel with Apex having 3 players versus the 5 traditional for esports?
It feels more confined just because you're talking to 2 people rather than 3 other people on your, or 4 other people on your team, sorry. And so talking to these guys, I mean, like they said earlier, we get along really well with each other, and so it's very simplistic just for us because all we have to do is just say some micro comms and then tell them something that they need to do, and after the game is that we just need to work on some stuff. It's just very simplistic, right? And we just have to, on like a 5-person team, we would just have to talk more about it and just think more logistically on everyone else. But for us, it's like very simple. Like, we played the game for so long, and it's just Mother Nature that the three of us were bound to be a team together for the next, until we graduate. So.
Yeah. And then again, what I want to mention that you guys have been the most seasoned team of our entire rosters. We have a lot of people bringing new players, and although you're new, near the end of the season, you kind of had like a little bit of a break, but you came back into the team. You've been playing with these guys for quite a little bit of time, whether you want to or not. These guys are your home now. So how has it been? And did it even feel like a break to you, or did it feel like it was just didn't even feel like a break? I'm just right back on the roster.
It was a little breathing room for me at least, but like even though I haven't played for a certain amount of time, like Miles can say this, but like 5 games in, I'm already back as a person I once was playing the game. So even though if I haven't played for a year, I just give me a couple games and I'll be back on the groove. And now it's just the same with these guys, and they accept me for who I am. Just be the best controller player here.
Yeah, that's good to hear. My next question, fairly consistent with all battle royales, but the random loot that you can get at times. And I've heard a lot of responses to this, but it's usually the "nah, I'd win" kind of comments. How do you guys feel with if you have loot disparity across the board? Are you guys just the I'm the seasoned team here when it comes to a lot of the esports collegiate players? And we've won tournaments with not the best loot anyways, and with how the loot has changed also with damage being the main factor of upgrading your shields, how does that kind of incorporate with your guys' team overall?
Yeah. I mean, there is that just skill aspect of if you play more, you're better. You can make do with a lot. But I mean, you also have to plan your drops, plan your rotates to maximize your loot gain and maximize your efficiency when looting is something that I'm not very good at. Loot paths are just not my thing. I just meander, and so that's something that our coach talks to us a lot about. And so you have to get your loot. There's also if you're one thing I found is if you're really low and you can never find shield meds, take a Watson, because then you have the shield gen for unlimited shields, and that can. So there's building around where you have gaps and disparities is always really good. Loba obviously just allows you to loot a whole place, but apart from that, she's not that great.
Yeah.
So there's
You don't like tossing rings?
No, I hate playing Loba. So yeah, you're just building your team comp around it, and then just playing the game intelligently, which is not how you normally play video games. So.
Yeah, it's just I'm on the weekend and now we're gaming, because what else are we going to do? It's raining outside. But I'm glad that you guys mentioned intentionally gaming as well. How is it being with a coach now that knows you all as individual players, your play styles? How does that affect your guys' overall play, knowing that they're incorporating your mains and whatnot, your comfort picks, as well as pushing you because they know what to expect from you as a player? How does that overall change your season aspect, and are you excited for potential new changes as well?
It's definitely nice having a coach that knows you really well. He also knows your flaws, so after you've done something wrong for the 10th time in a row, he will get on you. But I mean, our coach is amazing. He knows the game in and out. He knows what our preferences are, how we like to play the game. So yeah, it's great having him.
Yeah, and then not accepting obviously a certain level because they know what your best looks like, and so that's really really helpful, because some coaches, especially early on, they only see you at your worst, and so when they see those moments, especially when you win nationals and things like that, they know what to expect from you as a player, and you want to meet that standard. Is that additional pressure that is kind of a burden to you guys as players, or is it one of those things you're like, wow, now I know what they expect of me, and now it's big shoes to fill, but I'm super excited to just even excel that limit even farther?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be playing with these guys again, because I know we can do really well, and I know our coach does not put a lot of pressure on us.
Okay.
That's not who he is. He expects us to do well. He knows we'll have off days, but I think it was after our first game in ECAC last season, he basically said we don't have to play anymore because we already qualified for nationals.
Yeah.
And like that, so that was like that's the kind of like our coach is super. It's like he knows the order of like you have to qualify and then you have to win, and he's like you guys can qualify and like we just know we can. So I say now.
Yeah.
Before we've seen the new teams, but last year that was definitely the case, and so it was pretty low key and kind of chill, and we just have fun.
Being that said, and over the course of the game, there's been a lot of new characters being added to the game, and a lot of comfortability that happens in collegiate esports. There's not a forced meta, if you will, like if it would be pro scene. And so my question for you guys, how do you guys have that adaptability to go into team comps so you're like, what the absolute heck just happened on my screen, and why am I even seeing that character? They're the worst character in the entire game. How do you guys adapt to that as players? Because again, how flexible the collegiate level is with player base.
Well, you know, just like how we said earlier, we played with each other for quite a while, and you know, with our coach as well, like he kind of knows like what we like to play and what we don't. And I understand what these guys like to play. I'm more of a flex player, and so I'm more than willing to go out of my way and practice, you know, outside of practice time. So obviously get to know the character and play it better, and as if for game day, just excel. But with that said, it's just, you know, not everything in the pro scene has to be meta in the college scene. You know, just play how comfortable you want, you know. And, you know, like for me, I play Conduit, you know, in the competitive season, and most people played Lifeline as a support character. You know, I just felt more comfortable just because I know that all of us are capable of being fraggers and just, you know, bulldozing everyone, but for the most part. But I just saw it in my worth that having shields is better than just health, because I know how capable we are as a team and how we can coordinate with each other so well that we can just run teams one by one, and where I think that shields is just more worth it than health, I would say. But, you know, like just like I said earlier, it's just not everything you see in person just has to be acknowledged in the college scene. Like, you just play however you want, and you know, things works out just like us. You know, we won a national championship, and look where we are now. Like, we're excelling, we're thriving, and we're just taking it day by day and see where we go on from there.
And my last question for you guys is going to be, it's kind of an interesting one. You can see how in the past, there's people that play proper, and there's teams that just love to grief off spawn for no reason other than like, I know that GFU is playing this spot and they are really good at this spot, they're the leader of the lobby. What if we just drop on them? How do you guys adapt to those changes? And is it something a comm structure, or is it like how does that quick decision making happen for you guys to be able to still succeed amongst those griefers, man?
Yeah. I don't know. It relies a lot. The IGL, which I think is going to be me this year.
I like the consistency.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want that.
No.
Take that role.
So it would be a lot on me, because Kyle was our IGL last year and he graduated, did a great job, obviously, because he won. So it would be like, I'd have to make the call. If a team's griefing on it, like landing on us, it's like normally we would spread out to get that looting faster, but if they're now taking this side, we have to take this side. Maybe, like, there's some spots where you can stretch out to get more loot, but I mean, if one guy's going here and he gets triple landed on, you lose no matter what.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just have to run because you can craft banners. Other times you can take that fight. So it's a lot of situation where we're landing, because if you can't split the loot, we could be screwed if they
like
grief
HUD,
us.
where
Like,
you guys have had struggles with in the past.
Yeah.
It's like a team just everyone drops pills on the one guy that goes pills.
Yeah.
And it's just scuffed. But the thing is that's really, really cool. Way back in my day in the beta, right, when I was playing, and it was just like only 3 players you could play. You couldn't craft banners, so that's something that's really instrumental. Is that if you have one person to get triple landed on, you say, "Bye, we'll see you later," and then just moving on to the next loot pattern or the next POI, and just rotating that way. So that's definitely really, really helpful. And I noticed that you guys did that even on the national stage. They're like, "Oh, people are genuinely hard griefing us." I'm sorry, you know, Brandon, I'm sorry, Goat, you're just dead for now, you know.
Get you back in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get you back in a minute. We'll just see you later. But definitely interesting to see the crazy chaos, and I know it's even more pressure on an IGL, especially if if you're not playing just one team, it's a battle royale. There's so many teams in that lobby. There's so many factors that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad you've taken that burden on, and I think they're happy as well. But mentioning that the player you lost last year, it's a big loss for the program.
Yeah.
Respectfully to
We
you
let
guys,
them
you guys are
down.
great players. It's a big loss. Having especially an IGL role and somebody that consistently shot called up until that point, that's a lot of
Yeah.
experience as well. How are you guys reacting or changing around for that loss?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of nice because, well, Kyle was IGL. He didn't he didn't like being like a hard IGL. Like it wasn't like it was like in the end it was what Kyle says goes, but Kyle wasn't like only what I say gets taken into consideration. And so it was really good because I got some practice, kind of giving ideas, seeing how my idea works out and that kind of stuff. And then over the summer, I was largely doing our IGL. So it'll be interesting to see in the beginning because I think I did it first semester when I was with these guys again, and then Kyle came back to our team and was like, "Oh, well, you can do it again." So
take this.
I was like, "No." So it's going to take some practice, but I think we've got it because these guys, I'm going to do the same thing. They have some pretty good ideas sometimes, so bounce off them and make it work.
I'm glad that you guys have that non-hard IGL mindset as well, because I know that can be difficult for players. It's like, but I want to say something too.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that you have that flexibility, and I'm glad that you had those reps during the summertime as well. It's super instrumental. And when stuff hits the fan, I mean, you have to be able to be willing to either quickly let go of what you thought was the hard plan and let somebody else call, or even in when those plans fail, to still be like, I'm still the leader, even when stuff goes wrong. Sometimes we make wrong decisions, and sometimes that's okay. And so thank you guys again, Apex Legends, and thank you for hearing from all of you guys. And it's really cool that you guys have a seasoned team too. Like that's a special thing.
Yeah.
Last hopes and dreams for this season of Apex Legends for you guys.
Going back to back, I guess.
Yeah,
Back to back.
that's the goal.
Yeah, that'll be really good to see, and hopefully I get to call it this time, so that'll be really good. It'll be really fun. But thank you guys again for everyone here at George Fox in Newburgh, Oregon. We'll see you guys next time.